Hopefully we're live at least. But welcome to the stream, everyone. This is going to be a fun one. It's going to be trooper format. We don't normally hold these on Monday nights, but tonight we are making that exception here. And yeah, it's just I had a busy week last week, so I had to push back the locals to when I could actually do them for this weekend. I like to do a locals every weekend, and Monday's kind of the weekend. I mean, I guess the week started. It's the week start, but relatively lumped together in the weekend. If you get a long weekend, that's where the Monday lies. But yeah, so that's what we're doing here. And I put out a last call for the event here. We got a pretty good number, a bit more than this. We've got 9 people in this locals. That's pretty good for a single day, single elimination tournament. That's pretty good. So yeah, I'm happy with that. I think I'm going to. Yeah, it seems like everyone's in who wants to be in. Okay, so I'm just going to set it up the way it needs to be set up with unranked, and now we are going to be getting this party started. There we go. Oh, there's an error. There's an issue with one of the players, it seems like. This is a bit tricky. Let's see. Huh, weird. I don't know. Apparently GeoMyVS is not being recognized by Retrobot, which is the sort of thing that we sort of run our tournaments by. But yeah, hopefully we can get some Monday night dueling soon, Hoy. But yeah, that's very weird. I'm gonna try to start again. See if it helps. Maybe it's just a weird misfire. Yeah, I'm gonna ask if if GeoMyVS can re-register in the tournament, because apparently it's getting an issue because it's not recognizing GeoMyVS, who's played in a lot of these in the past. So it's not like they're new to Retrobot tournaments. It's just getting an error, like saying, we don't recognize this player, which is very weird. It doesn't make sense why that would happen. The one thing that I could think of for that potentially happening is if a user has like a character in their name. That's kind of weird. But this user just doesn't. I mean, it's all letters, all normal letters. Maybe the comma is weird. Yeah. Well, let's try to start it again. Let's see what happened here. Ah. Yeah, I think we might have to drop him and then just go along with the locals. It sucks, but we might have to do it. Yeah. Sorry for the delay, folks. Um, yeah, I'll try removing them and then re-signing them up. So try that. Oh, actually, it might. Oh, interesting. Weird. Let's see. Sorry, that darkening of the screen is because I'm taking a screenshot of what Discord's doing on our other monitor here that I use to manage the streaming. And yeah, it's just very weird. So what we'll have to do, we'll have to bring up this with Jazz in the future, but either is okay, Zacharoni and Cheese. I appreciate either. So whichever one you feel most comfortable with is fine. Yeah. Yeah. I know people structure their whole lives around these local streams, but you know, sometimes it just goes weird, you know. What can I say? Sometimes we can't control what life dishes out. So yeah, I think that yeah. Yeah, we'll just run it manually. So I'll just shuffle up the seeds. Yeah. Yeah, we'll shuffle up the seeds like this. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go to participants here. I'm going to click shuffle twice. So, you know, right off the bat twice. So I'm not shuffling the seeds for any particular outcome. That's one shuffle. And then here is the second shuffle. There we go. GMY seed number 1. So yeah, that's very funny. But we're just going to start the tournament like this. So here we go. Yeah. So people will just let me know manually. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what we'll do. It should be fine. Dimitri Gopuso Belenva. I don't know what that means. But well, va is like Spanish, right? Va means like go, right? So I don't know what Belen means. But it might not be Spanish. It might be some other language. A lot of the Romance languages are pretty similar in terms of certain verbs and certain like parts of them. And like to go is like kind of similar in a bunch of them. Like I know French, you know, it's like voy something, right? Like that's where you get bon voyage, right? A voyage is a journey, you know. So yeah, I don't know exactly if it's that. But anyways, oh, did it not post? Weird. Is it not working? Oh yeah, this is number local number 69 as well. Yeah. But yeah. Yep, everyone can start playing. Yep. So yeah. Everyone start playing. Good luck to everyone in the event here. Let's see if we've got any games started yet. Dump truck versus gay homosexual gay. So that's quite a username there. But that's the username of Jaina, who's a big you know, a big participant in a lot of format library tournaments, a big member of the community. So pleasure to have her here for this locals. But yeah, we're gonna be diving in to see what happens there. Oh, in French she goes allez. Oh, I think you're probably right, Mando. Yeah. I don't know French the best. Like I just learned a little bit of French, just like through an online course. So I think I might have been thinking of a different verb. I think there is a verb like to journey that's like voyager or something. But yeah, allez is definitely the one that people use more often. Yeah, now it's coming back to me. The French I sort of repressed back in the old days, you know, when I learned that stuff. French is a cool language though. The thing about French for me though, the pronunciation is like the big deal breaker for me. I like languages where you can pronounce a lot of things, and I know this is hypocritical because English is a language where pronunciation makes no sense whatsoever. But you know, the pronunciation in French makes even less sense to me, and so I don't like it. I grew up with English, so it sort of fits my expectations, whereas the pronunciation in French I didn't grow up with that, so I'm not used to it. It's weird. It's weird and strange, and I'm icked out by it, you know. But French is very cool though. I do like. I like what French can do as a language. It's just sometimes hearing it, it's very confusing for me. But yeah, I want to learn French someday. I think learning French would be cool. There's a lot of cool things written in languages like that, but like in Search of Lost Time, that'd be cool reading the original French. But yeah. GeoMyVet says, Ben, what is your favorite thing about Trooper format? I think probably my favorite thing is, and this might be controversial for some people might not like this, but I like how explosive it is. I think it's really cool to have formats like this where it is very explosive in a way that, it's not like just Stein OTK, right? It's not just activate Cold Wave and then next turn you just win the game on the spot and your opponent couldn't do anything. A lot of times in Trooper format, there are ways for your opponent to do things. The OTKs are not as oppressive as in some other formats. And, yeah, it's just like, it's neat. And maybe after playing a bunch of it, my opinions will change on that. But I do think it's very cool. And it's more explosive than other formats like Perfect Circle, which comes immediately after. It does have some similarities. But yeah. Interesting. Zachary and Chief said French was the first language that the Yu-Gi-Oh manga was translated in. That's very cool. I mean, it makes sense because France has a lot of love for manga. Like, there's a lot of manga there. But yeah, Mana Flow. I mean, it's tough. Like, you expect that you'll retain all that information and stuff, but then years go by and it's like, what? You just forget everything that you learned in French class, or whatever language class you took. I took Latin in high school, actually, which I took Latin for a variety of reasons. One, I think it's cool learning a dead language. I think that's kind of fun. Just to say you can. But the main reason I took it was because there are a lot of languages based on Latin, right? Like any of the Romance languages, Spanish, French, Italian. Did I say Spanish? No, Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, Romanian. All those are based on Latin. And there are some cool things in Latin throughout history, too. Like a lot of, scientific papers were written in Latin for a long period of time in Europe, right? A lot of treatises were written in Latin. And so there's actually a surprising amount of things you can do with Latin they wouldn't necessarily expect. It goes beyond just reading like the Iliad or the poems of Ovid, right? So yeah. Also, you get to read Cattell 16, which is a very interesting classical poem to say the least. And you can only really appreciate it in its original language, But yeah. Ooh, call for Snipe, but that's gonna get MST'd. Can Mirror Force be used at that timing? I don't actually know. I think it probably can because it's still on attack deck. I think it can. Yeah, I think it can. There's some weird rulings with like when things can be activated at different times that it's kind of weird throughout Yu-Gi-Oh's history because the battle phase changes a lot throughout Yu-Gi-Oh's history. But I'm pretty sure that Mirror Force can be activated there if the call was used on the attack deck. But that Stratus is going to attack over the Disc Commander here. Trooper coming down, and that's going to mill 3. I should actually talk a bit more about Trooper format for those who don't know what this format is, don't know what the decks that are running around doing are. Trooper format is the format right before Perfect Circle, which was a format, basically all these formats are in 2007, which is basically the GX's last hurrah, right? It's the last period GX before Synchro Monsters come out in 5Ds, and it's really where GX sort of takes on a personality of its own, because for the beginning of GX, it was a ton of GM staples, and it was also Cyberstein combos. Cyberstein and Cyber Dragon were the big things that GX added to the card pool, and they did warp the format around them in a way that was very sort of homogenizing among those formats, right? Like, if you jump into a game of Reaper versus a game of Chaos Return versus a game of Stein format, right? All those formats, while they do have their differences, and the differences can manifest in different ways, at the end of the day, a lot of those games, a lot of the non-games at least, are going to appear very similar, right? So, Trooper is in the period after that where Cyberstein gets banned, and finally the GX stuff has time to breathe. Chimera Tech is the first real format that I think really feels like GX, and its power level is relatively low. But then immediately after that, you get things like Stratos coming out, and you have Airblade format. Airblade format is crazy, a lot of powerful stuff going on. But at least in Airblade format, it is a GX feeling OTK because you've got Stratos doing things and a ton of interesting combo stuff there. So I'm honestly okay with Airblade. I think Airblade's a fun time if you don't take it too seriously. But yeah, I mean, Chimera Tech's sort of this oasis that people look towards as like sort of an ideal version of GX. And to be fair, not a lot of people outside of people who, get really deep into the retro Yu-Gi-Oh community in general, not just like Goat or Edison, but like the formats beyond. Not a lot of people know about Chimera Tech. And we're trying to get more Chimera Tech awareness, so hopefully that does work eventually there. But we haven't quite reached the point where Chimera Tech is widely regarded as a format that is a perfect encapsulation of GX. But anyways, right after that, you get into like a bit more crazy stuff. Luckily, Demise format curbs the power of Airblade a bit, but Demise format also has. Oh, is my camera off? Okay, I think it's straight on with my camera. But so Demise format basically adds Crush Card as well, which a lot of people don't like, and so they sort of go back to Chimera Tech. But I think that Demise and Trooper, they're very similar. It largely comes down to flavor. In Trooper, you have Ryza, and Ryza makes Perfect Circle Monarch a lot better. So, I mean, it's pros and cons. Like, I think that both are their own sort of animals, despite being very similar. But a lot of people prefer Trooper because the things feel a bit more fleshed out there. Zachary and Cheese asks, why do you think over a decade ago Goat took off instead of Chimera Tech? I think the main reason for that is because a decade ago people were aching for a format that felt like the early days of Yu-Gi-Oh! They were aiming for a format that felt like a DM era format. And even though GOAT is a GX format, technically, I mean, you can play elemental heroes in it, even if they're not that good. Ring on Doom, on the Doom Lord, or no, Fearmonger. I mixed up my Destiny heroes. That's going to be rough. But yeah, even though, GOAT is technically GX, they were looking for DM. And it felt like DM enough that they went for that one, right? And also, you got to consider that, like, a lot of the sort of eras that we view them as were not really as present around at the time, but that was a good play with Ryza. Ryza had to spin a card back, so you spin back these sets. That's pretty neat. But exactly, as Hoy says as well, GOAT was also a broad era, and people wanted to return to that era. They didn't necessarily say, I want to return to, the SJC Indianapolis of 2005, right? They just were like, I want to return to that era where like GOAT Control was a really fun deck that a lot of people could play, and it was a very skill intensive format, very like sort of back and forth format as well. So they wanted to return to that sort of feeling, right? And GOAT, they eventually settled on SJC Indianapolis, but ultimately GOAT was that period, right? And it was that feeling of time, right? Whereas Chimera took a much shorter period of time. It was basically like one event, and then almost immediately after you get like Airblade. So, not a lot of people remember that period of time as much, and they can't like look back and say like, man, that was a good year of Yu-Gi-Oh! They can say, man, that was a good event, but not everyone was at that event, so they don't necessarily know. But GLM says, I've heard that the GOAT control mirror was considered the most skill-intensive way to play Yu-Gi-Oh! And that's where it began, and then as people deep dived, the format grew in depth and popularity. Yeah, and that's also true. Like, the GOAT control mirror is a very long, grindy mirror. And, I mean, there are a ton of skill counterplay that you need to know about in order to navigate it correctly, right? So, I think it is one of the most skill-intensive mirrors in the game's history. But it is also an encapsulation of that era where games did take a while. They were slower, grindier, and every card really didn't matter. And of course, as time has gone on, people have realized that actually GOAT Control is not the best deck that you could be playing in that format. Chaos Turbo is the best deck in the format. But it still does pop up occasionally, and Chaos Turbo is a fun enough deck to play that it ultimately is fine. That Woboku here is going to go pretty hard. That's going to pop the Cyber Dragon because Cyber Dragon attacked in that Cyber Dragon. So it will crash, but the Cyber Dragon that PJ has will stay. That's pretty good because now it's 1,800 points of damage hidden in over that Reaper. So it's going to be very nice there. But yeah, and all this is not to say that GOAT's bad because I think GOAT is very good. But I'm just talking about like, the different reasons to play it. Like formats that are more entrenched in the GX era, in my opinion. Like GOAT, I feel like it still feels like a spiritual successor to DM. It still feels like the DM era. And interesting, summing out the Rhinos. Okay, because you got Morphing Jar, that makes sense. So Morphing Jar pitching a Heavy Storm on their opponent's part, and then pitching a Yellow Gadget on Zerworldo Dark Armed God's part. Drawing 5. This is the sort of like Rhinos list that in Edison format got a bit popular recently. It got second at Lille, and now they're playing it here. And of course, not everything is here for the deck. Like you don't have like Dimpriz. That's a big thing. But I'm gonna be excited to try out this list myself. I'm probably just gonna basically try and translate Zuxid's list as much as I can. Because Zuxid was the YouTuber who like really pioneered the deck list. And so I'm gonna try and adapt that and see how it goes. Reasoning here, wow, interesting stuff. Well, it makes sense given that this seems to be an Archfiend list. That's very neat. Because you can do like Terra King shenanigans. I think Terra King might not be worth it at this point in the game's history. Like this deck seems a bit slow compared to some of the other more aggressive decks in the format, but it is still very cool. So I think that's neat. Zachary Cheese says, something I like about Trooper form is I think Cyber Dragon is a more fun card before Chimera Tech Fortress Dragon was printed. IDK, if that's a hot or cold take. I agree with that, honestly. I think Cyber Dragon, before you can just turn into a board wipe, it was a lot of fun. And you don't have to play the like Chimera Tech minigame where it's like you hold your Cyber Dragon because your opponent might have a Cyber Dragon to then make Chimera Tech, right? Desperate Guardfiend will wall that up. Not necessarily how you want to use Desperate Guardfiend. You kind of want to use it in hand to bring back a Terra King, but if you have to, you will, you know. And that's how you do it. Yeah, Zuxid videos are great. I know that Zuxid is on a bit of a hiatus, I think, right now. But I mean, they're great content if you want some, you know, fun, sort of spicy lists. You know, they focus on Edison, but I think that they're still, you know, very good for any Spice Lords out there because, you know, Edison decks can be applied to other formats, right? Like you can bring this Winged Rhinos list into Trooper format, try it out and see how it goes, you know? So I think there's pretty cool stuff there. Yeah, the Trooper format ban list is pretty wild, Mando FL 0. I agree with that. That's part of what makes it so fun, in my opinion, is that like, it's just like a wild time. You still have Ring of Destruction legal. You have Comfy legal for whatever reason. Comfy I could actually do without. Comfy and Trap Dash Shoot at 3. I could do that without both of those. But, you know, I think overall the format is pretty cool. A big part of that is the ban list. Yeah, I mean, these decks are Giga Chad, Saccharine and Cheese. It is very tricky to, you know who to root for. Like, do you want Archfiends? Do you want Rhinos? Like, what do you go for? I kind of want to see more... Well, let me put it this way. I'm probably not going to feature Skull Knight number 2 while they're going deep on the Fiends. I'm probably not going to feature the Archfiend deck on my channel in the future. I'm probably not going to make a video on it. So, you know, maybe you root for the Archfiend deck just to try and see more of this in the upcoming games of this locals. But who knows? I think either way, you know, whoever wins, we all win, you know, because we get to see more of this deck in the future. Lesser Fiend coming down as well. That's going to be met with a bottomless trap hole. And yeah, I mean, it's rough out here. I mean, this is a problem with like Archfiend decks is that like, oh, heavy. I mean, they're just going for lethal. And that will be the end of the game. No Boku's left. So, Lynn G-Lam, I am with you there. G-Lam says, what I'm about to say may contradict the teachings of God, but I believe that Confiscation is a healthier card than Death Shoot, especially on this time period. And I agree with you. I am a big believer in the fact that the hand rip spells are on the whole more healthy than Death Shoot. Because while the hand rip spells might be more powerful, given that they can rip any card from hand, and Duo rips 2 cards from hand as opposed to 1, you know, you're not basically getting the full information of what goes on in your opponent's turn. Because, you know, with Death Shoot, you flip Death Shoot, you know everything in their hand. There's a very limited space of what they can do to actually, you know, basically deprive you of information about what's getting set, right? Like if you see 2 traps there, right, and they set 1 card, you're like, well, you know, I know it's 1 of 2 cards for the rest of the game. And that is still some uncertainty, but like, you know, 50-50 is still pretty high in terms of what it might be. And then over the course of the game, you get more reads on what it could be based on what your opponent does with that card, right? You can sort of test the waters on it. Whereas with Comfy or Forceful Sentry or, well, Duo, you don't get any information, but with Comfy or Forceful Sentry, you get information, but then your opponent draws a completely new card on the following turn. So that card could be anything. And maybe it's a dud, maybe they're not going to play it that turn. But if they set a back row then, it's like, well, I know it could be one of these cards in their hand, but it could also just be something I completely don't know about, right? And so there's that more a factor of unknownness in that. And I think that's a very big thing here. That Cliff's going crazy. Cliff is just tearing apart that back row, but Snatch is sort of mitigating the life point cost from that at least. But yeah, kind of rough here for Hoy. But if they draw a way to deal with that Snatch, you know, it's going to be pretty good. Oh, never mind. They're tributing for a Grandmaster. Let's go. We got 6 Sams. I should have checked the graveyard. That's wild. Oh, another bottomless, though. That is rough. You don't want that Grandmaster bottomless. That's the third bottomless. Oof. Oof. Oh. Yeah, GMYFS in the chat. GMYFS is the 6 Sam player here. Could I get both Twitch chat and YouTube chat on the screen at the same time? C-Spare asked. Unfortunately, it was brought to my attention that actually displaying both Twitch and YouTube chat on a Twitch stream actually violates Twitch term of services. So we can't actually combine them. The best I can do is place the Twitch chat on the screen. And yeah, so it's rough. Like, I would like, in a perfect world, I think it makes sense if Twitch gives you the ability to like multi-stream, right? Which they do. They do give you the ability to stream on multiple platforms. I think it makes sense to then be able to show the chat from both those platforms on the screen. Like, to me, that's common sense. Especially because a big part of, Twitch's sort of term services surrounding multi-platform streaming is that you can do it, but you can only do it as long as you're not like sending people to that other platform, right? So, like for instance, if, and for Twitch's sake, I'm not advocating for people to do this, but for instance, if I set on stream, like, oh, everyone head on over to this platform to watch me, Twitch is just sort of funneling people in over there, right? If I said that on stream and was serious about it, which I am not serious about at Twitch, I'm not, violating your terms of service here. If I was serious about that, then, that could be a violation of the terms of services, because I'm basically using Twitch as a launching on point for other things, right? But, if I can't show both chats on screen and people are curious about what the other chats are, they're going to want to go to the other platform anyways, right? So it doesn't make sense to me why they have it like that, but that is unfortunately how it is now. Hopefully they change it in the future, but okay, it looks like the first game is wrapped up here, and Jaina moving on to the next round, beating Dump Truck out there, which is pretty good because Dump Truck won the first game, so the second and third games went to Jaina. But did he not proc the GM off bottomless? I don't think he did. Yeah, I don't think he did, which is a bit of an error because it does actually proc there. You can get something back even if Grandmaster is banished from that. So could have brought back Zanji. Zanji might have been good. Probably just Zanji, I feel like, if you know that there's Wild Heart there. I mean, this is something that you learn as you play the deck, right? It is a mandatory thing, but I think the game states progress to a point where, like, it is rough. But, yeah. Maybe the other back row there, like, deals with Zanji, but, like, yeah, it's just rough. I think it's just a learning curve with the deck, right? Grandmaster is the reason to play 6 Sams, but yeah, no, Seedsbear, I initially thought it worked that way too, where like, I thought that we could, put both chats on stream because, it makes sense if they're allowing you to multi-platform stream, but, yeah, they haven't quite changed that yet. If they ever do that, I will be trying to display both chats on stream because I think it is nice to see all that. But yeah, it's just kind of rough. Solemn on the Sangan. That's always rough to see that there. But sometimes it is necessary. I mean, this does prevent the search. It's just very much a sign of being down bad. And yeah, I mean, it would have been a lot of damage here. It actually would have been lethal if they attacked him with Sangan and then attacked directly with Wildheart. Vortex will deal with that Wildheart there if it goes through, and it looks like it will go through. But yeah, it's set there. Yeah, the Zanji add back might have actually changed a lot here. But I mean, it's not over for Run from Red. Their opponent's down pretty low in life. If they get a Grandmaster in hand, another 6 Sam on field, like that's a pretty good position to be in. Could be lethal damage. So Rhoda, I mean, that's the 6 Sam you want. No Mirror Force has been used up. No TT's been used up. But, I mean, this is still a good position to be in, I think. Going for Zanji, I think that makes sense. All the bottomlesses are gone, so no real reason to do things like that. But I don't know why Twitch doesn't have much of a following for Retro Yu-Gi-Oh! But, oh, Ring. Yeah, that's rough. Yeah, so no matter what you did from this position, you're dead. But, yeah. But I don't know why it doesn't really have much of a following for Retro Yu-Gi-Oh! I think maybe because there isn't really, like, a completely smooth client for it. Like, we're using Dueling Book, which is a great client. Like, I want to say big shout outs to the people who run Dueling Book. It's a great resource for the community, not just the retro community, but like the community at large, right? I think that it is great. But, we can't necessarily play these formats on Master Duel because Master Duel uses a different rule system, right? Like, first turn draw does not exist in Master Duel. And so it makes it a bit tough to sort of simulate retro formats on that platform. And because the big platform on Twitch is Master Duel, there isn't really much of a platform for retro stuff here. But that'd be my guess. I mean, I haven't been around the Twitch sphere for that long, or at least not as long as I've been in the YouTube sphere. So I don't quite know. But, I mean, yeah, it's just kind of rough. Okay, it looks like Gabu Blondie is on DDT here. Very interesting deck. Seems like it's on to game 3, so pretty intense matchup here. It seems like their opponent's on T-Hero of some sort. Oh, they're on DDT. They're on Magical Explosion. Okay. That is a deck there. Also, I want to answer Zachary and Cheese's question. Do I think that Wildheart is a meta staple or a rogue anti-meta card? I would say it's, well, I mean, I think we need more testing overall to actually see which one it is. But I'd say that, like, the deck that it houses in is probably more of a, it's probably more of an anti-meta card. Like, it's an anti-meta deck, so it sort of slots in on that role there. That's what I'd say for Wildheart. But, no Monster Gate for the, unless they have the read that's set to Morphing Jar, that might be why they're setting some now. I don't quite know. Okay, they do have the gate, so I don't know why they're activating that now as opposed to later. Maybe because they don't want to get, like, Monster Gate. Oh, because they got Seer as well. That makes sense. Now they get 2 monsters out instead of 1. So, don't worry, Blizzon. I notice you. What is it? It's Konbanwa, right now, for me at least. But, yeah. So I notice you. But, Zachary and Cheese says, a different rule system isn't a deal breaker. My local judge for Edison yesterday said he was ruling quick draw as an inherent system because Konami is doing that in Ultimate Time Limited events. I think most new rules are improvements. I think a lot of them are improvements, but the thing that I take issue with that is I think it does change how the formats are constructed, right? Like, if you look at the ban list for, like, Exiled Force in GOAT format, right? Ignition Effect Priority is what got it on the list because, it's a very powerful card. If you can just summon it out and your opponent can't do anything to stop its effect from going through, right? So, it being on the list, if you use Modern Rulings where Ignition Effect Priority doesn't exist, it's kind of, I don't know, it just takes away something from the format for me, right? Because now decks aren't playing Exiled Force. Now Warriors gets a bit worse, and the format is just very different. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? Some people like that sort of thing. Some people are interested in what new formats will arise when you do that sort of thing. I personally just am not the biggest fan of doing that myself, right? But I won't begrudge people for doing it if they're interested in that. It's just, for me personally, I'm not the biggest fan. But Mando FL0 says, Wildheart with Mage Power can be strong, especially with as many equips in the format. Yeah, that would be an interesting strategy, especially if you've got a bunch of traps to back up the Wildheart, or you've got, like, a Gravity Bind. That would be a cool sort of build for that. But yeah, I mean, I will say, Blizzon 56, Necro Valley is probably the biggest thing with judging a format. Like, if anyone brings a Gravekeeper deck to a format where Gravekeeper is not meta, that's just being rude to the judges, in my opinion. Because, like, do you know Necro Valley's ruling for every single format? Probably not. You probably only know it for the formats where Gravekeeper is relevant. So it's just very tricky to figure that out. Do they have a limit removal? Is that why they're thinking? Are they going for call? I think they set both those cards this turn, so I don't think they can call. They might be going for Magical Explosion, but Magical Explosion needs a card in hand, I believe, to actually... Or, no, you have no cards in hand, I think, for Magical Explosion. I forget which one it is exactly. But, well, I guess we'll find out. Okay, no cards in hand. That's what it is. So, let's see. That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 15, and 23. So 23, so that is exact lethal if it goes through. Question is, will it go through? Yep, exact lethal. Yeah. That is rough. Oof, it did go through. So that's unfortunate. I mean, that happens sometimes. Very neat build here from Gabu Bolandi going for the explosion in the DDT deck. I mean, it does make sense in theory. It's just something that not many people go with because Magical Explosion can be very awkward. But we'll have to see how it does in the rest of the locals. I mean, it could definitely be crazy strong here if it does make it far, but we'll have to see how it does. Also, this should be Hoy moving on, I believe. Yeah. But yeah, Problem 7 card text wasn't really focused on until 2012 in Yu-Gi-Oh! As Mando FL0 says. And that is true. That it does make it a bit tricky to judge a lot of these events because sometimes you have a card and it looks like it should say one thing, but in actuality, it's a completely different thing, right? A great example of that I like to use is it's what's Battery Man Industrial Strength, I think it is. It's a guy that comes out of Life Destruction, and it's a Battery Man boss monster that says like banish 2 Battery Men from your graveyard, and then it has an additional effect where you can like basically pop a monster in a spell or trap on field. And the way it's written makes it look like it doesn't target, but it actually does target. But it just has never been reprinted with problem-solving card decks. And there's some cards like that where it's like, you just have to know the ruling, right? Because they're not written in problem-solving card decks, so like, you don't necessarily know how they work. So, but yeah, Diamond 2 Turbo is what DDT stands for, if anyone was confused about that. So, very iconic deck from this period. I'm not sure if it's the best in this format. We'll have to find out. I mean, Clody's cooking up something new with it. Clody's Gabibu Blondie, that's their Discord name, is Clody. They're cooking up something new with it, and so we'll have to see exactly how far that new thing can go. It seems like GMI Vets is also on 6-Sam, so Hoy facing a 6-Sam field, you know. In what formats can you play Scapegoat and summon up to 4 tokens? I always thought it was exactly 4 tokens. Hold up. This is going to send me down a Yu-Gi-Oh! Rabbit hole. Let's see. What I like to do when testing this is I like to go to Yugipedia, look at the page for whatever card it is, and then I go to the errata section. So the errata section, if we look at it, the original version said place 4 sheep tokens in defense position on your side of the field. So that to me implies that it would be all 4 there. The next version says special summon 4 sheep tokens. So that implies that would be all of them there. Next version says special summon 4 sheep token. Okay, so I'm seeing mainly all saying special summon 4. But there could have been weird rulings at different points that say that you have to do other things. So now I'm going to check the rulings, see if there are any outdated rulings on that. Or previously official rulings, that is. Let's see. I don't see anything with that. Yeah, I don't see anything with that. So I don't know if you can actually do that in any format, but I'm sure someone will let me know here if that is the case. But as one says, it's never been up to, and yeah, that's what I would guess as well from that. But yeah, oof, it looks like this is actually a very intense game. I looked away for a second, and now it's like this. So Geomai Vets down to very little cards, but Hoy down to very little life points. So this is a very, very interesting situation to be in. Geomai Vets could draw like Ring of Destruction. That is a danger that Hoy has to deal with. If they draw Wild Heart, they can deal with that. But then Zandri can deal with that Wild Heart. So that is tricky. Yeah, no, you can't summon a monster and then play Scapegoats either. That is something that I honestly, like as a kid playing around with Scapegoats, I didn't realize either. Because I was a kid, you know, I didn't really know everything that went on with that. But that is a big thing where people still forget to this day. Like I've seen people forget, especially with things like Cyberjar activations, right? You flip up Cyberjar, bring out a monster and stuff, and you forget that you flipped up Cyberjar, then you go for Scapegoat or something. And, you know, then you can't technically activate Scapegoat then because you've used Cyberjar. But yeah, Hoy just set in 3 because they don't want to play into that ring. But it looks like Hoy is down on cards compared to Geomai Vets. So Geomai Vets could stall out Hoy if they want to. But nice CS. Okay, so CS winning. And that will go into the thing here. So CS is Clive. So unfortunately, it seems like the Archfiend deck didn't quite make it there. But still very cool there. And oh, yeah, Clody also won. So, whoops, not -1. There we go. And so, yeah, that game will go on as well. Heavy Storm is going to clear away that background. There's the ring. Okay, so now that that's gone, Hoy can go a bit aggressive here if they want to. So, yeah, this might be the end of the game because there's a lot of life points on the table, but it looks like it won't be the end of the game. So this is 19 plus 15. So that background's probably something here that can stop what GMYFS can do because many 6-Sams can beat over like a Mystic Swordsman level 2, right? Like Yaichi can beat over that. A variety of things can beat over that. Iroh coming down. Looks like no Bottomless being used up on that. Might be waiting for a Mirror Force. Might be saving the Bottomless for a Grandmaster. But you got to go for it here if you don't have another option. I mean, maybe not, because you're not dead. They can't crash the Warrior Lady in. So, yeah, I mean, honestly, there is an argument for Geomai Vets to just hold. You know, I don't hate it. I don't hate just waiting. And just being like, you know what? I'm, going for BrainCon as well. I mean, to be fair, if it is Mirror Force, they're not dead. So Wuboku is going to protect here, but the Warrior Lady can still banish that Sangan here. This is why I generally prefer Threatening Roar to Wuboku, because you wind up in these situations where, like, you know, Threatening Roar can actually protect you more than someone like Wuboku can. In addition, in this deck in particular, Wild Heart activates is really weird with Wuboku, where if you've got a Wild Heart and you activate Wuboku, Wuboku will not protect the Wild Heart from being destroyed by battle. You won't take any damage from that. But, yeah. Oh, okay. So that Rise is spinning back the monster to the top of the deck. Hoy's going to just set that right back down. That's probably what they're going to do. And pass back. Very, very intense gameplay. Geomai Vets did not have a monster they can use to deal with that set. Oh, but they run into a warrior here. Okay, so this is very intense. That card in hand's probably either Xian or Grandmaster. Otherwise, they would have summoned it out if it was a 6 Sam. And if it was a Spell Trap, they probably would have set it here. But especially because MST and Heavy are both gone. So I feel like that is, you know, unless they're playing Cider, they might be playing Cider in their deck. But Cider's a bit iffy. But they're going to bring out an Assailant here, attack in for 17, because they got to get him on the clock. You know, Zandri comes down, but you got to do what you got to do. And it looks like Geomai is just going to set one, pass back. Will Hoy be able to wrap it up here with that Assailant? That's the question. But, oh, it looks like Hoy will win that one. Holding on for dear life at 100 life points. That is intense. Very, very cool stuff there. So now we're going back into another match. See what other people are doing. I like to jump around in these locals to see all the different decks on display. And that would be kind of interesting. Clody versus Zerwaldo Dark Arm God. Let's see that. Explosion versus where is this? Card versus Machine Troop when Troop is the target of Ring. Oh, so you're asking, like, if you ring the Card Trooper after Machine Dupe is activated? I'm pretty sure it doesn't actually give you more. I could be wrong about that. But I don't know. Ask a judge in the YGO from Zero Discord server about that. But I think I'm correct about that, because there was a recent game that I played with this interaction, and I misplayed because I thought that it did do this, where, like, even if you ring the trooper, it would bring out more troopers. But I'm pretty sure because it says with the same name as that face-up monster, it actually won't count it if it is not face-up anymore. So I believe that is the ruling, because I looked into that after the game that I messed that up with, which I will be releasing a video with that soon. But yeah. I mean, yeah, Cider really depends on the strategy that you're in. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying here. I think it does. I'm pretty sure it did not summon, but let me check. If anyone knows in chat, that would also be good. Quartz Center Banana cards, I think that is a good thing overall for the retro community. I think that there will be a lot of good reprints. I mean, I know people have their complaints about it, but I think it'll be ultimately good. But yeah, I'm pretty sure Machine Dupe will not still resolve, but can't hurt to check. If the target monster no longer face up in the field when resolving machine duplication, then you cannot special summon any monster with the same name from your deck. That is the current official ruling. But oh no, okay. So actually, a machine type monster is shown an activation of this card. So if they chain ring destruction, then it is special summoned. So that comes from an older ruling. So yes, so that will go through. Okay, so actually I didn't misplay in the game that I messed that up with. So yeah, you do in this format. It does change eventually, but not now. So yeah, so that is rough for Dark Arm God, because they expected to have this stop the machine dupe, but that's how it goes sometimes. And yep, Gibby Blondie also gets to draw a card there, so that is pretty rough, all things considered. But this is going to be less mills overall, so that's kind of nice. Although reasoning will do the milling for you if you want it. So yeah, it does indeed resolve there. So oh, that hurts. I wonder what they were calling for. Maybe just Stratos, but like I feel like you're much more afraid of the one of Demok than the one of Stratos. Maybe they've seen more of the deck than we have, but yeah, I feel like 8 is the call there for sure. But anyways, I mean that's probably gonna wrap it up, I assume. Let's see what's in the graveyard here. Yeah, I don't know. What do you really want engrave? Maybe feather to stack the explosion, but like you're in a good spot. You're in a good spot no matter what. You could also go for like magical stone excavation and just try and mill more with the troopers to then get more. But deck is more level 4, but you check the graveyard, like there's Diamond Dude, right? And also if Diamond Dude hits the field, like if another one hits the field, for instance, you don't really care about that as much because like it's not going to kill you this turn, right? You're gonna be taking some damage. They're probably gonna attack him with one trooper and then attack him with the other. And Diamond Dude, and you're taking some damage, but like you can crack that board pretty easily. If they hit Demok, you're just dead, most likely. I mean, to be fair, we have not seen lethal here, but I mean, it is very likely that Gabu Volandi effectively kills Dark-Armed God this turn, right? So I would say probably 8 would have been my call there, despite the probability, being more in 4's favor. But yeah, now you call 4 for sure, right? Because that's all that's left in their deck, really, because the card troopers are gone. They're probably not on Sidras in this style deck, although they might be. Some reasoning decks are on Sidra. Oh, they had pre-mat anyways, I guess. So, it is what it is. I guess they would have been able to bring this back, but yeah, Trooper, or not Trooper, Stratos here. Why not bring out Trooper? I'm kind of curious why they didn't bring out Trooper if they've got no Amontra left in deck. The Trooper is just more attack, and also, hitting over set Rhinos, that hurts. And also, you mill 3 as well to set up like for more explosion plays, right? So yeah, why not mill, right? Like, unless you don't have a copy of Magical Explosion set there, and you want to draw it in the 11 cards that you've got, but they've got 200 life points left, so they're probably dead before that really becomes relevant anyways. So, yeah, I don't know. I've not started covering Perfect Circle yet. We're almost there, though. I've got some things covering Trooper. Yeah, so I don't really get why not, but it is what it is there. This is still lethal no matter what, but I feel like Trooper would have made a little bit more sense, but maybe this doesn't reveal as much information about the deck. Maybe that's why. But yeah, I haven't started covering Perfect Circle yet. Will be soon, though, because I don't think Trooper will take that long, all things considered, because ultimately I covered a lot of the decks that came out in Demise format, right? And so really I have to cover the new decks. I've already covered Perfect Circle Monarch. I've covered Troop Dupe as well. And I mean, yeah, Dark Scorpions did become a little bit better in Perfect Circle, but I probably won't cover Dark Scorpions, unfortunately, Blazon. But maybe I will. I'll never say never to these stuff, but yeah. Oh yeah, zombie format's next. That's right, yes. Yeah, I always mix up zombie and Perfect Circle because they are very similar, right? We're getting to an era where, like, I feel like a lot of these formats I'll go through relatively quickly because, I mean, it's just like there's a lot of similarities, right? There's, around this time, there's a relatively granular approach to the format on Format Library, at least. So, we get zombie format after Trooper, which basically is Trooper format, but without Gladiator's Assault, which doesn't really add much to Trooper. And then we get Perfect Circle. Sorry, I'm mixing up all these things. I mean, maybe. I'll never say never. Maybe I'll find the key to making Fusion Heroes viable there. But let's model. Everyone's got to take a break sometimes, right? And for whatever reason you take a break, it's always valid as long as it's what you need to do. So no worries about that. We'll still be here when you decide to come back, if you decide to come back. I hope you decide to come back, but if you decide that you can't, then that's also okay. What matters is that, you're doing the best things for you. So if that's what's happening, then that's what matters there. But yeah, it is a very, very fun format. You picked a good one for your favorite. So I like it a lot. Yeah, I mean, that happens sometimes. And it's good that you recognize that, right? Like, some people do not recognize when, losing in a given format or a given game will be too much for them, right? So it's good that you recognize that in this format, in particular, this format is the one that you can't quite handle losing in, right? Oof, that smashing is going to be pretty good there for Hoy. Yeah, Hoy probably just wins this one here, I assume. That's 26, yeah, 3,700. So that will do it. Wow, 6 Sams have fallen. Oh, hurts to see. Yeah, I mean, Perfect Circle, it just comes down to your taste. Like, some people like Perfect Circle better than Chimera Tech. Some people like Chimera Tech better than Perfect Circle. I think it really does come down to your taste. I think Perfect Circle, the thing about it is that, like, I think a lot of it's sort of centralized around the mirror match. And now that could just be a factor of, like, not as many people playing it as should be playing it, right? Like, if you look at early forms of GOAT, right? Like goat format used to be all goat control mirrors, right? And that's what everyone did because they're like, goat control is the best deck, right? The best deck historically, it's the best deck now. So that's what we're going to do, and goat control was the dominant force in that format for quite some time. But nowadays, goat format looks completely different, right? Goat control is not really being played as much because things like KS Turbo are a bit better. So, never say never for like what will be in a format and stuff. But right now, Trooper is, or not Trooper. I keep saying Trooper when I mean Perfect Circle. I just got Trooper on the brain. Also, it's relatively late for me, 9:50. I'm not normally in bed by this time, but still, it's when you get this late at night, the brain juices are not flowing as much. But ooh, that's interesting. Dim Fizz is very neat here. I'm not sure if it does enough against the DDT deck because it doesn't banish like spells. So you're just banishing the monsters, which, I mean, to be fair, like if you banish like a Demok and stuff, I'm not sure this deck's playing Dim Fuse, so they can't really get it back easily. But it does also shut off the Phoenix Blade, so that's also pretty good. So yeah, Dim Fuse, we'll have to see how it does in this matchup. It might cause a bit of a problem for Blondie. The issue with the Winged Rhinos deck though is that it kind of takes some time to grind out their opponent, and the DDT deck / Magical Exploding deck won't always give them that time. Setting a gadget is interesting. I feel like you just want to summon it. Yes, they can brain con into gate, but like I guess Vortex was the reason why they did that. But yeah, they just attack in, and then you don't get your search, so that's a bit awkward there. But it is what it is, right? Anyway, basically the point of the ramble that I was making is that I think Perfect Circle could potentially be another sort of version of GOAT where like people expect it to be one thing, but with more experimentation, it becomes something else completely differently, right? Like Gladiator Beasts made it to second place in the last Perfect Circle event. And that is a deck that maybe wasn't on people's radar at the time, and it doesn't have things like Geysaris, so it makes sense why people sort of underrate that deck in the format. But the fact that it got second means that there is potential options for it in the future to also do things, so never say never with a format like that. T-Drive, pitch Mally and Dasher. Oh, that's kind of rough. You always want that there. It could be a fluke. It might be a fluke, but it could be, the way it is, I mean, I need to really dive into the tournament itself and like analyze a lot more, to really understand like what happened in that event to get Gladiator Beast to second place. But I could potentially see it being very good. We'll have to see. But I know that the player who played it, they played Gladiator Beast very well in a variety of different formats. And so, maybe it was just their skill at the deck. Maybe they got lucky. Who knows? But if they can replicate that result in future events, oh, that hurts. I mean, this is why. No, you can't do that. Oh, wait. Hold up. What are they doing? Oh, they're doing Phoenix Blade stuff? Why? Are they adding back? You can only add back one Phoenix Blade. What? No, they're not banished because I mean, I don't know. It doesn't matter. I don't think it matters there that much. They're just hampering themselves, but that's not how it should have been. The Mallies and the strat. Okay, they realize it now. Or they're listening to the stream. Either way, good to get that game state corrected there. Yeah, Dim Fuse was gone, so don't need to worry about that. But yeah, things like that is why I know it does save time to just go like mill 6 using the DB command. But it can actually come up sometimes where, especially in a deck like this, where you mill 3, hit a Mally, and you're like, okay, I want that out of the grave, right? And then you banish the Mally, and then bring in another Mally, and then you mill 3 more, right? Potentially you don't care about it being engraved. Potentially you're fine with it, but I feel like it probably is better to just do that, just to thin out your deck a little bit. But I don't know. Fuels your Phoenix Blade stuff, so that's nice. But Rhino's hitting in for 18, so now the life points are relatively equalized. Blondie has 5 cards compared to Dark Arm Guard's 4, or 3 that is. But Blondie's deck is a lot more of a combo-oriented deck, so if they don't have the tools they need to pull off that combo, then it can be a bit tricky for them. Brain Con for the Rhinos can be potentially pretty good here. Just beating in, and potentially if you've got another monster here to tribute over that or something. It looks like they do. So it can't be a third Mally, can't be a Dasher. It's a Jinzo. Jinzo very, very good against the Rhinos deck. And I mean, that probably will be the end of the game. I don't know if there's much the Rhinos deck can do against a, settled Jinzo on field. So, yeah, still very cool game here overall. But You should play the next Trooper tournament, Mando. I think it'll be good. We're going to be holding one on this upcoming weekend. I haven't announced it yet in the YJ from Zero Discord server because I've had a busy week/weekend. But I'm going to announce that after the locals wrap up. And, it should be a lot of fun. It's a multi-day event. And, it'll be 48-hour rounds, so that gives you time to potentially schedule with your opponent. And it'll be really cool. So I'm looking forward to that. We'll also be holding a locals as well this upcoming weekend. I need to sort of settle on the time. I was thinking Saturday, but Saturday might actually be busy for me, so I might do Friday instead. It'll depend on my schedule, but I'll announce that as well closer to the end of the week. But should be really fun. So Fusion Heroes could be pretty neat if you bring it, Mando. So I encourage it. But yeah, card D there is going to be pretty good. Pitching that DMOC and that Phoenix Blade. Unfortunately, only one warrior left engraved, so you can't add the other. But reasoning here as well, interesting that they're going for that now. I guess they're going for the Diamond Dude. I don't know why you'd call 5. I don't know what in the deck is a 5. I feel like, what does this deck play that's a 5? Like, it would just be like Sidra. But I feel like this deck's not playing Sidra. So, yeah, that was kind of iffy. But either way, I mean, I think they were cooked. I don't think there was any way they could have gotten out of that. So, yeah, brutal stuff. And DDT Magical Explosion moves on to the next round. So it's going to be in the finals. Clody going to the finals there. Very, very cool to see. We'll have to see who will face them, Hoy or Jaina. So let's dive in to the Hoy Jaina game. See how that one's going. If it is going. There it is. Well, it looks like Jaina's doing pretty well here. Also on a Hero Engine deck. It's interesting, in the Demise tournament, Hero Engine decks did not really do the best. They did manage to top, but, based on the amount of people playing them, it was a bit iffy in terms of what the results actually mean there. But, that Exiled Force must have been taking the snatch. Oh, that's very good for Hoy here, showing the power of that Grand Mole. Seems like gay, homosexual, gay is messed up here, but, I mean, there is still a way out of this, depending on what the grave is. Hitting over Fearmonger, but no D Commander there in grave. No Disc Commander. So, yeah, that is rough. No D hero at all in grave there. So that's going to be unfortunate for gay, homosexual, gay. It looks like Mally's going to get switched to defense, and that's going to be pretty rough for you as well, because what you can do is just bring out, I mean, if you want to be really cool, you could bring a Grand Mole attack into it, but I think it's better to attack him with Zamira, because he can't attack direct anyways, so you attack him with Zamira, then attack him with, like, Grand Mole if you want to, or if you've got a more aggressive push, you can do that as well, maybe increase the clock, but I think it's looking pretty over here overall. Yeah, it's just rough. Yeah, Jaina is in danger. That is very, very true. But we'll have to see if they can bring themselves out of the danger. But, I mean, that's what happens sometimes, CS. DDT, Turbo, it kind of goes directly against what your deck's trying to do, where your deck is more of a control-based deck, where their deck is a combo deck that wants to just combo off and go crazy. And if they can just go crazy, right, like, you can't really do anything about that since you're a much slower deck. So it happens sometimes, but that's Yu-Gi-Oh, right? Different matchups will be a bit trickier than others, but you managed to win the first round, so that is very, very good. Shows that the deck is pretty cool. I'll definitely be featuring a version of that deck on the channel in the future because I like that style deck. I think it's neat. So Reaper hitting that knock is going to be pretty good there. I mean, I guess Hoy's probably not setting anything, but like if there is a world where that will come down, that's pretty good. But Braincon. Oh, this might be Ryza. Oh, damn, that's rough. Well, I mean, to be fair. Oh, it's not Ryza, but it is 14 plus 5. So actually, that will be lethal. So yeah, that's still lethal. Yeah. So maybe with the Grand Mole, Hoy could have survived that. But I mean, it's tricky because you want to, like, if you attack over Mally, another Mally's coming out. So like, if you have the read that they've got Ryza, if it's Ryza, you're just like dead next turn, right? Pretty much. Maybe not. If it's Ryza, they spin back the Grand Mole, and then they attack over the Byra, and then you're probably fine. But yeah. Braincon is also lethal there. So very tricky. I mean, there are different, sort of ways Hoy could have gone there. I think it's fine the way that they went. It's just you take one risk as opposed to another. And unfortunately, the risk did not pay off for Hoy there. But very, very intense end of the game there. Very, very interesting end of the game as well. So Mando FL0 says, also, I think macro deck out is viable with Necrofear. IDK if it's at 2 or 1. Necrofear or macro? Macro is unlimited at this point. So you can play as many macros as you want. Same with Dim Fizz and Banisher of the Radiance. Those are all unlimited. Necrofear is also unlimited at this point. So that'd be an interesting deck to try out. I encourage you to try it out if you're interested in it. I feel like there aren't enough good Fiends to really fuel that in this format. Oh wait, Necroface. Oh wait, Necroface is not out yet. So sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about Dark Necrofear. And I was like, I'm not sure how that connects with deck out and macro, but like, if you can go for it, you can go for it. But yeah, Necroface is not out yet. Necroface will be out by the time Perfect Circle comes around, though. So that will be a very interesting deck to play around with in that format there. But this format, unfortunately, not viable because Necroface does not exist. But yeah, we're starting with the Stratos this time, searching out a hero from deck to hand, grabbing that Disc Commander there. Yeah, Necroface goes boom. I'm looking forward to when Necroface comes out. I think those decks are so funny, so neat. So I'm going to be trying that out. Ocean is out by this point. It has come out. Yeah, it was not out in Demise, but it is out in Trooper format. Another notable difference between Trooper and Demise there. But Necroface was either one of the secret rares in Gladiator Assault, or it was like released in the special edition of Gladiator Assault. I think it was a secret rare there. I could be wrong though. But Necroface is a very cool card. I like the art of it. It's like a big throwback to like old Yu-Gi-Oh art when you just had like freaky things on cards, right? So I like it a lot. But yeah, I'm going to be playing around with that. Okay, Necroface is a glass secret. Yep. Yeah. Gladiator Assault had some weird... Was Gladiator Assault the one with Gilgarth as like a secret? I know it's like one of these late GX sets had Gilgarth as a secret. And if you pulled Gilgarth, you're just like, man, I wanted a playable card here. But to be fair, Gilgarth, I think, is worth a lot of money nowadays. So those people might have turned out better in the end than some of the others. But Ring on that Banisher is going to be pretty rough for Hoy here. That was a great way out of that situation. Jaina also has to take 16. Yep, there it goes. But yeah. Yeah, you could play Necrofear. It's just like, why are you playing that over something else, right? It's just the Fiends are not really the best. So, yeah, as you say, it wouldn't really be super great History of Wydro 0. Oh, Tongue Twister, the classic Tongue Twister secret rare. That is very, very funny. Yeah, you can play it for fun. And that's very fair point. Like, playing these formats for fun is also a way to play them, right? And honestly, like, you should play these formats in whatever way brings you the most joy and most fun. But it gets kind of tricky talking about, like, when decks are like good or not, right? Because if you're playing for fun, any deck can be good, right? So there's not really a point, in my opinion, to saying like, well, this deck is good, but only if you're going for fun, right? And it's like, well, yeah, but like if you're playing for fun or you're not playing like super competitively or things like that, then like you could apply that moniker to like every deck, right? So that's why generally like when I talk about whether a deck is good or not, I'm not talking about it in the sense of like, if you want to just sit down and play some fun games with some friends and like, just play some iconic cards and stuff. I'm not talking about it in that sense. I'm talking about it in the sense of like, could this card be competitively viable? So that's sort of like, and like different people have different definitions of these things, right? But that's why I'm trying to lay out my definition here, because I do think it is, a good sort of thing to just set those definitions. So that way everyone's on the same page. Moki Moki SmackDown is S tier in the fun department. Yeah, I mean, that's a very neat card. I think it is out. I think the continuous spell. Yeah, I think the continuous spell came out. Might have been Ancient Sanctuary, honestly, back when Moki Moki was first out. This is a very, very clever play. Going for Cliff over the Trooper to then pop the Premat, which will then send the Snipe. So. Oh, wait, unless the. Oh, it might have been on the Troop. Okay, they are popping. Yeah. So that will go there. But yeah, Cliff is, I mean, to be fair, the Cliff we've seen has come exclusively from Hoy, I think. So, it makes sense in their deck. But yeah, Cliff is a very interesting card. I mean, Cliff is not a bad card by any means. It does some interesting stuff. And I think we did see Mene out of Hoy earlier. So Mene pairs with Crush card and all that stuff. So Dasher here coming for the Sidra in hand, and then D-Draw to draw 2 more. This is going to be a lot of damage coming Hoy's way. And Jaina does have the life points to pay for a Sentry activation. So, and that Heavy's just going to wrap it up either way here probably. Yep, another pulling. Unfortunately, not doing it against the Monarch deck there. And yeah, it's going to be rough. That will indeed be exactly lethal from the side or over the cliff. And Jaina's going to move on to the finals here. So very, very good games there. And I'm excited to see what the finals match brings, because we got two very interesting decks here. We've got more of a standard classical trooper deck that you'd see with the machine dupe on the troopers and like T-Hero plays as well. And then we've got a DDT explosion deck going on, which is a very, very innovative use of magical explosion, pairing it with DDT, so that way you don't have to rely exclusively on the magical explosion stuff, and the magical explosion stuff can also give you an extra boost of damage in the end. So very cool stuff there. I don't know if he's on 3, but might be. But yeah, I like Mayday a lot. Mayday is very cool. Yeah, everyone always gravitates towards like Dark Magician Girl, you know, for the waifu material. But like Mayday, I mean, she's got a whip. That's definitely gonna appeal to a specific type of player, you know. So Mayday's very cool though. And also the resource engine that provides. I mean, that's the big thing, right? Like, you know, I like to value my Yu-Gi-Oh! Waifus based on the card advantage they can accrue over the course of a game. I agree. DMG is a bottom tier waifu. It's the basic pick. It's the basic pick. I mean, I don't know. It's like, yeah, it's like if you open up a game and you don't put any thought into your pick of a waifu there. It's just, not truly cultured, you know. The truly cultured Yu-Gi-Oh! Waifu enthusiasts have more exquisite tastes, if you know what I mean. We're talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! Waifus. Card Trooper? I mean, Card Trooper. What do those nozzles do? That's what I'm asking, you know. But Gay Homosexual Gay is going to open up with that Trooper, Mill 3. I just realized, I hope I don't get demonetized for saying that name over and over. I feel like it should be fine, right? Like, you should not get demonetized for saying a sexuality, but like, I don't know. I don't know YouTube's like standards with that. So, maybe this will demonetize the stream. It's fine. It's a funny enough name that I'm okay with that happening. But yeah, Jaina also works. You know, I just like the username so much that it's neat. But yeah, I'll just say Jaina from now on. But yeah, ring on the Trooper. I think that's a smart play. Depriving Gibulani of Trooper access if they get a machine dupe, and depriving them of mills. So I think that makes a lot of sense. Also depriving them of a Monster Gate tribute as well. So yeah. The edit of Card Trooper. I don't know what edit you're talking about, but I want to see it. I want to see that edit then. They did have the dupe. They have the dupe. So that will be able to bring out 2 more troops if they've got them. And they do indeed got them. So there's the troop. We could have had 4 troops on the field. That actually would have been lethal, I believe. Yes, it would have actually been lethal because 400 plus 1900 times 4 is lethal there. So we'll have to see if it's a scoop. Oh, the Jane is referencing. I have not seen that edit, I don't think. I could be wrong. Maybe I saw it back in the days when I was more terminally online, but you know, yeah, I'll have to look it up later. Gate here for one of the troops. Choosing not to mill first. I think it's... Oh, they got a serial spell. Interesting. Going for the Feather of the Phoenix. If they had 2 Mallies here, that would be so sad. Yeah, post it in locals channel. Post it somewhere. I mean, if it's safe for work, yeah, go for it. Post it in locals channel, and I'll check it out after. Yeah, serial spell also very interesting with the Monster Gate combo. Very neat stuff there. This is going to be a lot of damage here. So... DMOC will miss timing. Yes. DMOC will miss timing because not the last thing that happened here. So it will not get back a spell. So yeah. Because it's a when you can. So, and this was not the last thing that happened. The last thing that happened was Monster Gate resolved on a different monster. So kind of a rough outcome for you, Blondie, but this is still a lot of damage. That's 1900 plus 1900, 3800 plus 2800, which is 6600. And then that's actually lethal. That is lethal. Yeah. So it does work. Yeah, exactly 8,000. Yeah. So, yep, there it is. But, yo, Jaina did get to see more of Gibi Bulandi's deck, so that is kind of a nice advantage. You know, they did have to mill 6, so, yeah. DDT Explosion showing its power here. I might have to tinker with that on the channel as well, so I'll probably do that. Yeah, this was a quick one, Doc Zero. Both the game and also just the locals itself. I mean, we're only like an hour in, and locals are already wrapped up. But honestly, it's probably better for me because it is getting late for me. So, you know, I'll have to sleep soon. But yeah, DDT is still a strong deck. I mean, I think the issue with DDT is that, like, and the issue with, like, a lot of these decks is that randomness does play a big part in it. And if you bring it to a tournament, it can definitely come back to bite you because, you know, it's kind of like a phenomenon that you see with a lot of Steiner TK decks in formats that have Steiner TK running around, is that Steiner TK is individually strong over the course of a couple games. Like, and to be fair, this is like a tournament. You know, Gibi Villani's had to play multiple games here, but it's also a locals, so like they haven't really played necessarily the best meta decks out there, right? They might have been playing some meta decks, but no guarantee to that. But so far, they've won 2 games here, and this is the third. So if they win the third, that's still impressive. It did win 3 matches, but it also is, like, not necessarily an indicator they can go the distance in a tournament, right? And that's the thing, like, with viewing this deck from a competitive lens, it can be very powerful, but the question is it powerful and consistent enough to make it? And that's still an open question. I'm not saying it is one way or another. I'm just saying that I will definitely be experimenting with this after the locals to see if we can sort of see some stuff there. But Jaina is thinking on the level that they call here. I think 4 is a good pick now, but hitting a trooper is kind of rough. But yeah, I think when the reason is activated on an empty board, you want to hit 4 because they could have gate, right? And you're not in a position where like you're dead from that hit. But if they call 4, they potentially get DDT online. They get you know, random stuff. And Stratos also gets things online for like D-draws and stuff. So I think it does make sense to just hit the most likely outcome on the first one. But they have the Stratos in hand anyway. So Stratos coming down. Will that be met with a pulling? Will that be met with something else? Okay, looks like they are going to use the effect. And it has... Oh, TT. Okay, TT will come down. Yeah, TT's going to be pretty good there. Gibi Villani will get to draw a card, but that is the end of their normal summons there. So, first add, and then this isn't if you can, or if it is an if and then you do it. So I guess it's just mandatory. So, yeah, you do get the draw. Yep. Will not miss timing. So it can't miss timing. But yeah. So worked out pretty well for Gibi Villani, all things considered. But they don't really have much to protect themselves here because DDT is a deck that does not really put up much defensively. It seems like Jaina cannot really punish that, so this might turn out rough for Jaina on the following turn. Of course, they could have more defensive stuff here as well, but we'll actually have to see what happens there. Reasoning coming down, what do you call now? I think, honestly, in this point, you call 8. 6, what are you going? Mally? Oh, it is a Mally. If that does get it engraved. Yeah, and I guess there are 3 Mallies left in deck, so you could go for that. That works. But yeah, now they get another Mally from deck, so it's kind of awkward. But you deprive them of 1 Mally. There's an argument here for if they hit Mally, if you're worried about gate, like you just don't really care about that because you're like, well, they've got 2 more Mallies in deck, so it's kind of awkward for them. Jinzo coming down. Oof. So actually, that was also probably from... Oh, Solemn. Yeah, Solemn will stop the Jinzo, so probably a necessary Solemn there. Yeah, Reasoning is a very high variance card. It can be very tricky to use. And it's also one of the reasons that this deck is kind of iffy in terms of consistency, right? Because like if you're hitting Mallies off Reasoning, that can be pretty bad for you. But it is still a very, very cool deck. And Reasoning, when it does pop off, can pop off hard. I mean, we saw that in Demise tournament where 6 Sams managed to win using a heavy Reason Gate package. Or not Gate, but like just Reasoning package. And doing pretty well there. Bringing out the Mally so that way they don't brick on more Mallies on that D-draw there. Now, there is a 3rd Mally in deck, so they could still draw that 3rd one, but it does make sense to get that one of them at least out of the deck. And they might actually have a way to convert this Mally into something else as well, so we'll have to see if that's the case. Call there going for Dasher. Dasher, if they want, contribute the Mally and then bring in another Mally and then get in for 3,900. I think that's probably fine. Dasher does switch to defense. Yeah, I don't know. I think it depends on what you want to bring out of your deck. They also could have drawn into the 3rd Mally, which would have been really sad. But it can happen. Looks like they're going to Brain Con that Mally there. Interesting that they went for the Mally instead of the Dasher. Maybe they've got a way to deal with that back row. Okay, they got Brain Con for Dasher as well. This is it's 3,100 from the Dasher here. But they don't quite have lethal yet. But Ooh, 18 ulti Siren Phoenixes. Hey, it might go up. If these formats become more popular, there's definitely the potential for that. But yeah, I mean, I hope people enjoy the coverage, and I hope that it becomes more popular. So we'll have to see if that does indeed happen. But unless it's like Mirror Force back there, there's going to be a bit tough for Jaina to come back from. Will that be it? Scapegoat. Okay, Scapegoat will help. Yeah. Oh, they're thinking, okay, they might not attack into them. They might just leave them because at the end of the turn, I believe they choose which one resolves first. And so they can choose to resolve they can send back the Mally and then have the Dasher go to grave. That's very, very interesting stuff there. Yeah, Dasher goes to defense. It's a big part of Dasher. Where it has to switch after it attacks. So it is a bit vulnerable there. But yeah, Rhinos could definitely go further in the next locals. It depends on the matchup it goes for. But yeah, you get to choose which resolve first because they happen at the same timing in the end phase. And then because after that, there'll be all 5 zones filled, the other will go to grave. So very, very interesting play here. Jaina had to go for the Scapegoat here, but it is kind of awkward now. But I mean, it was the right move overall. You had to do it. So now their board's kind of clogged up, and they can't necessarily deal with that dude. Can't deal with the dude. Yeah, and then I believe because the card's sent to grave by game mechanics as opposed to being destroyed, I think the Call the Han will stay on field. So it looks like they're going to tribute the Mally for a Sidra and then attack over the Diamond Dude. Pretty good there, but the Monster Gate will still resolve on Gibu Blondie's turn. So that could give them some issues there. Dasher is the OG Dante. Well, you could say Goblin Attack Force is the OG Dante if you want to go all the way back. I'm trying to think, is there another one that switches to defense after attacking that was before Goblin Attack Force? I don't think there was. But yeah, Mally 4 and Mally here. And what are they going to do with that Mally? If they got a gate? Have they got something else? They got Rhoda. Okay, they're just getting it out of deck so that way they don't hit it off Mally. Spear Dragon. Yes, Spear Dragon switches to defense. That actually came out in the same set as Goblin Attack Force, if I believe. I think that's the case because Legacy of Darkness, I believe, is when those came out. Spear Dragon definitely came out in Legacy of Darkness because that's when dragons actually got some decent monsters to play around with besides just Blue Eyes. Yeah, 8, I think it's the right call here. But yeah, I'm trying to think about Goblin Attack Force. I think it also came out in Legacy of Darkness because that was when Warrior support, there was more of that, right? And Goblin Attack Force was a big Warrior support monster, but it's a bit scary for Jaina here because this is getting a lot of spells engraved for Magical Explosion if that does happen. So yeah, Giant Orc was IOC. That is correct, John Barrientos. Yep. I don't know why they waited that long to print a worse version of Goblin Attack Force, but I guess it's a dark, so you can pair it with like Chaos stuff. So if that makes sense. I guess it does have, it's like a Coach Goblin thing, or Second Goblin, where you get to equip it to it and then keep it in attack. But I think that came out, I think Second Goblin came out after. I could be wrong. But, oh, the DDV target, that's true as well, yeah. Yeah, DDV came out in Flaming Eternity a couple sets after, but that does make Orc a bit better than a Goblin Attack Force later on. Yeah, so that does work. Oh, Lightning Vortex, another Solemn coming down, so that will protect here. But it might not be enough if that's Magical Explosion in hand. That is lethal damage there. But yeah, so Giant Orc, when Deck Devastation Virus comes out, it does turn into that. But I'm doing pretty good, Edie Miguel. I had a pretty busy week because I had to travel for a wedding. So that took up a lot of my time. But I'm excited to get back into the swing of things, show off some Troop Dupe Scoop locals here, and also get back into doing video coverage here. Okay, looks like they didn't normal summon this turn, so they can go for Demok here. Okay, just a Diamond Dude there. Diamond Dude mill 1. D-draw's pretty good off the Diamond Dude. No explosions so far. They might have started out of the explosions, to be honest. But I did pick out the reception. The food was very good, so that was very nice. Yeah, so wedding food, I love wedding food because it generally is like very, very good stuff, or at least better than I get normally. So, yeah. Yeah, no, that's the thing. Like, if they can draw into the Magical Explosion, that's very good here. There is also an argument here And it may seem weird, but there is an argument for just crashing your troopers into the Cyber Dragon to try and draw into it that way, if you still have magical explosions in your deck. Because then you get 2 draws deeper, and there is a very good chance that you just draw into it and kill them this turn, right? But yeah, I'm of the age where a lot of people are having weddings. It's just a lot of people I know are having those weddings. And so, yeah, it's tough for me to avoid them at this point. Not that I would. It's always fun to go to them. And, you know, it's always, like, great to see people so happy, you know. But, yeah. Yeah, weddings are great. Got some more weddings in the future that I'm looking forward to. But, yeah. Gate. Okay. Gate is going for DMOC, I think, here. Yep, there's the DMOC. No magical explosion still. They might have decided out of explosion. That is a very, very possible option here, right? I like to hide my age doc 0. I will say I'm oh, is it gates for, what are they getting out here though? Oh, Vortex. They got Vortex. Okay, I see. I gotcha. Yep, and that is the end of the game. So very, very cool stuff there. But yeah, Gab never misses. I mean, this is their second locals, I think, they've won. Very, very good stuff there. But yeah, very, very intense locals. Yeah, it makes Vortex live. So very, very cool line. I'm not sure if I would have seen it myself in the moment. But that shows why Clody is a great DDT player. So yeah, very, very good stuff there. Let me just actually finalize this in the locals thing here, because we had to do this all manually for some reason today, because Retrobot was acting a bit weird. But we'll try and figure out the Retrobot issues for the next time, and especially by the time the monthly tournament wraps around, we'll try and figure that out there. What's my social security number, if you don't mind? Thank you for asking, Zacharoni and Cheese. My social security number is 012345678. That is my social security number. Actually, wait, darn, that's not the right number of digits. Oh, well. I guess we'll never know what my social security number is. Yeah, no worries, Eddie Miguel. I like to announce them on the Discord server. If you follow the locals info channel, they're then generally there. But it's tricky because, like, sometimes I don't know my availability until, like, very close to the actual day of. And so I basically announce them, like, 2 to 3 days beforehand. And sometimes that is just a bit too short notice, especially if you got a lot of things going on. So, yeah, I think this upcoming locals, I think it'll probably be Friday. I could be wrong, though. It might be Saturday, though. But the monthly tournament that we'll hold will be that'll start Sunday. So I need to announce that. I'm going to announce it after this event wraps up here and we finalize everything. But yeah, no worries about that too. I mean, you always see in the locals channel on the Discord, you see people saying like, oh, I thought this locals was tomorrow, or I thought this locals was like a couple hours from now or something like that. And it just happens, right? Life gets away from you. And, a lot of you're having fun living life. That's what matters. But if you can play some Yu-Gi-Oh as well, then we're happy to have you here. But on that note, I'm probably going to call it here. I mean, it is like almost 10:30 for me, so I'll have to go to bed soon. But it's always cool hanging out with y'all, playing some late night Yu-Gi-Oh. You can call me Ben. You can call me B-Sox. You can call me YFZ. Call me whatever you want to call me. Whatever's easiest for you. I go by many names. But yeah, whichever one you prefer is fine by me. Although please do not call me like an insult. Like it would be good if you didn't just call me by stupid. That would be kind of a rough name. But Strawberry Stream when I will be doing another stream probably this weekend. So I couldn't do it this past weekend because I was away for a wedding. But yeah, no, I said that more as a joke, Eddie Miguel. I wasn't thinking that you'd actually do that. But I was just I was joking around with that one. But it's a bit late, and when it gets this late, the joking circuits in my brain don't always fire as well as they should. So yeah, but Strawberry Jam stream, I'll be doing some more of that game probably on Sunday. So look out for that. Should be a lot of fun. I need to update the VOD from my last stream as well on the YFC VOD channel. So that'll also be there. But yeah, have a good week to everyone in chat. Thank you, Eddie Miguel. And yeah, I'll see y'all next time. Peace. And we're ending.